Hello and welcome. It is 2024 and there is still people left, right and center who justify and support the killing of innocents, while I assume that by then that should be our bottom line collectively. But there are several genocides going on currently, not only in Palestine. There is in Sudan, there is in Armenia, there is in Central African Republic, there is in Myanmar, the Uyghurs in China, the Christians and the Yazidis in Syria. So it shows us that it's not only in the comments that you've got people justifying the unjustifiable. Why does it happen? This is what I want to explore today. And it also explains, I want to go through a set of theories that explain why do people sometimes elect dictators or people who are completely inadequate for holding power against their own good. You may know that it is partly because democracy as we know it is flawed, and this is not my opinion, this is from the French philosopher Alexis de Tocqueville. He wrote Democracy in America. He called it the dictatorship of the majority, saying that a crowd of misinformed people can make collectively decisions against their collective interest. But that's another topic. Last time we saw about the in and out group theory. We had a look at Solomon Asch's theory on peer pressure in his experiments. Like how can people make decisions even if they don't make any sense because everyone around them makes them. And we've seen how symbols are used, just like people appropriate history and religion to justify their narratives. And today I wanted to talk about extrinsic and intrinsic goals and values. But before we start, a message to the internet. If you support the killing of innocents, whatever is your political orientation, please do leave a message in the comments below, as any kind of comment helps the YouTube algorithm to reshare this video to 10 more accounts. So all of you leftist woke snowflakes who support the killing and the murder of innocent Palestinian children, I am forever grateful. Did you see what I did there? The algorithm loves this kind of thing. Anyway, so most of you who have subscribed to this channel, I assume you have intrinsic values. Let me explain. You are here because I assume that you are looking for deep and meaningful analysis rather than short and entertaining content. I mean, for you to sit and watch from start to finish 40 minutes videos where it's just me talking in front of the camera, I believe you're doing that not because I have a nice beard and you're not looking at how it's trimmed for 40 minutes. Instead of looking for a charismatic and extrovert presenter, you are willing to sit here with me as someone who is trying to be authentic in front of the camera. It doesn't give a damn about what others think. Well, unless it's constructive, of course. Because perhaps you are someone who is trying to get a bit more depth in their life, someone who is trying to be authentic. Maybe you can empathize when you see people going through hardships. You are probably concerned with community. You can accept being in the wrong, and you can accept criticism if it's of course constructive. And because maybe you've been through difficult times in life which have forced you to reflect on the purpose of your existence and your role on earth. All of these are what we call intrinsic goals and values according to something we call goal content theory, which was first suggested by Kasser and Ryan in 1996. So we say intrinsic because it's mainly inward looking. You are willing to examine yourself, your life, and change things within yourself to become a better person. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you've got something called extrinsic goals and values. So it's all about people who are concerned with status, image, fame, power, financial success, and prestige. Remember, prestige comes from the Latin praestigium, which means illusion. So these are people who are not interested in cooperation, in community, who like to see life in black and white instead of shades of gray and nuance. And we say extrinsic because their identity and their validity is closely tied to what others think of them, or more exactly, what they think others think of them. So you understand, it's about image control, and therefore it's about power. One great example is Trump, because Trump is a master of extrinsic values. He is self-obsessed and he doesn't hide it. And he is a master of controlling his image. And he is a master at telling others what they want to hear. While he is obviously not interested in building a better life for Americans, but he's only interested in doing what serves his own interests first. But it's like a brand. You know, most people in the world don't buy brands because of the quality of the product or the service, but because of the symbols, because of what the brand represents to them. And Trump is a master at being a brand.
I can be the most presidential person ever. We had the biggest audience in the history of inaugural speeches. The labor leaders that came out, one of them said it was the single greatest meeting I've ever had with anybody. It's the highlight of my life. You look at this tremendous sea of love. I call it a sea of love.
And you know, even if it doesn't mean anything, people like the sound of it. And they say, I like this guy, I'm gonna vote for him. Can you switch between intrinsic and extrinsic? I'm gonna try to give you an example with this channel in a way. So I believe that people who are subscribed to this channel are more interested in what I have to say instead of how I see it or how do I look like. But that's not the majority of people on earth. But instead of being me, myself, if, let's say, I dress up, play a character with branded items, and I tell you that I'm going to show you my recipe to making a six-figure business in 6 days, lots of people are going to listen to me. But maybe not you who have subscribed to this channel, again, because if we talk business, you probably know most people who sell these kind of things do it for attention or for selling an online course. There's always an agenda, and there's many, many variables to building a business. I mean, I've been running my photography and film business for 15 years, 5 years of car detailing business. You know, what works for me is not going to necessarily work for you. When I start wearing these fancy sunglasses or this Louis Vuitton cap, people just, you know, automatically, subconsciously think, oh, it looks cool. This person must be successful, because these things signal a certain appearance of successful people as spread on social media. But most of you will wonder, what the hell is William doing? Why is he wearing sunglasses indoors? Extrinsic values play on images and symbols. Intrinsic values plays on a deeper dimension of meaning and substance. Again, I'm oversimplifying. If you want the full explanation, I have the links and the references for the articles down below. So a friend of mine, a very famous artist, Abbas Zahedi, calls it the Jamie Oliver paradox. He says, if you get a North African uncle on TV to talk about tagine, even though, you know, he's got the experience, he's got the heritage, he's probably learned the recipe from, like, for generations. Well, people will not listen. Why? Because he's not Jamie Oliver. But if Jamie Oliver talks about tagine, even if he doesn't have the experiences, maybe he's found the recipe 2 days ago on YouTube, and, well, people will listen. Because it is Jamie Oliver, just because of that.
Okay, lovely people, we're going to do a gorgeous, gorgeous, sticky, melt-in-your-mouth, tender meat dish. We're doing a lamb tagine, okay? This is the tagine, right?
What are the causes? Why do people abide by intrinsic or extrinsic values? Well, people, according again to the studies of Kasser and Ryan, acquire extrinsic values. So, you know, the quest of like power, validation, and so on. First of all, because of feelings of insecurity. And second, because of they have seen such values in their social environment, because people absorb, they copy what they see. In my previous videos, for example, I mentioned how Andrew Tate's message, it doesn't make sense to people who are parents. It doesn't make sense to people who actually run businesses. Because as I mentioned, they know all the variables of making business. They're already making their money. They're comfortable with having their family lives. If you're secure with who you are, well, you don't need the advice of these get-rich-quick gurus. Who he speaks for is all these adolescents or insecure adults who are struggling financially or finding someone, a partner, because these are things they desperately need. And on a society level, we've seen with Solomon Asch that when it's a majority of people around you who do and believe the same thing, you're more inclined to believe and do the same things because, well, we don't like to be left as outsiders. And this is even more true in a society which is very individualistic and where you have values like performance, ego, arrogance, Machiavellianism are not only valued but also rewarded. And this is how people with intrinsic values can adopt extrinsic values. In my life, I was tempted many times to adopt these values just to fit in, to be accepted. This is when I was struggling financially, I didn't have a job, and I was struggling to find someone for marriage. And I would have been in a very difficult situation if I had to fake this kind of personality just to fit in. But the opposite is true. You have people with extrinsic values who can adopt intrinsic values. But according to what I have observed, and you can read this in my research, I've seen this mostly for people who go through very difficult experiences in life, people who have been very ill, people who have been in accidents, lost their jobs or become homeless, people who have even witnessed the death of a relative or a loved one. Because these are experiences who push people to reflect on their lives, reflect on their purpose of their existence and their place on earth. But again, I am simplifying a lot for the sake of this YouTube video. If you want more detailed explanations, please have a look at the references in the description. I hope this video was useful, and as always, please take care of yourselves and each other.